Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I have come with the more exciting video for those students who enter in the college for the BTech and BCA or BSc, any kind of degree. So they don't know about the end goal where they want to finally land after completing their BTech or any other degree studies. So bottom line is that the race to complete the successful BTech is not an easy task. So, to carve yourself, find out the right path, it becomes necessary to understand what path you have to take to maintain the consistency. After all, it's all about the discipline and dedication, right? So, you are a guys from the CS, IT, EC, or any stream, or if you programming interests you, so here comes roadmap for you to start your journey. So let's get started. Your college life starts with first semester, and this is the best phase to explore, observe, and experience fascinating pieces of stuff. Since you have just joined the college, you meet new people, take part in activities, and you feel like you are on a top. So let's go through the steps to be followed during your first semester, one by one. Your college starts and you have stepped into the world of programming, but you are confused about which language to choose and how to start learning to program. If you are a newbie, the answer to all your questions lies here in the 2 points. First is how to learn programming, and second is which programming language should I choose as a beginner. So, first point is how to learn programming. Let's discuss the steps to learn programming and some tips to build problem solving skills. So first is choose a language and understand the basic fundamental concepts. A lot of beginners skip the fundamental and jump directly to the sign-in tools and technology. That's not going to work in interview or building any kind of project. You will become more confused and distracted if your fundamentals are not clear. So firstly, choose the programming language you are most comfortable with, like Python, Java, C++, and many more languages, and understand the syntax and basic concepts. Basic concepts like variables, conditional, operators, loops, etc. So make programs and build a basic foundation using your favorite language. If you are in a college, then college are good in teaching the basic concepts. Else you can take up the help of the internet, where we have a many basic fundamental things which is cleared in the internet, like sites is Gigs for Gigs, Code Academy, Hacker Rank, etc., which are a good to build the basic fundamentals. So I want to share some tips which is very helpful in building your problem solving skills. First thing is, most of the courses start with teaching the programming language. That's good. But understand how to use programming language to solve the problem. Like example, how to solve the addition of the two numbers. First thing, then implement in the programming language. Second thing is, stick with one language. Don't try to learn everything initially. Most beginners keep jumping to one language to another language, which is just a waste of time. Initially, it's got to good to stick with one language. First, learn language is difficult for the newbie programmers, but your brain will eventually get syntax once you start practicing every day. Third thing is try to make programs every single day without leaving any gap. Even if it's just one or two programs one a day, try to make some small programs first and then move to the complex. Fourth thing is adapt a good learning strategy. For example, instead of consuming all the theory first and then jumping to make the programs, follow a 2:1. I explain you that 2:1 is that it means after every 2 hours of conceptual learning, spend an hour in practicing or active learning. Last one, make a small application or project based on fundamental you have learned. Like you learned the addition of two numbers, subtraction of two numbers. So make a calculator or something that is interesting to you. And if you stuck to then go to the Google and learn how to Google it, the problems, etc. Here, learn data structure and algorithms. Data structure and algorithm are the heart of programming. Once you are comfortable with any of the languages, making some basic programs, the next thing you should do is learning data structure and algorithm. You will get better at building your problem solving skills if you understand the fundamentals of data structure and algorithms. Understand that not all the data structures can be used everywhere. So far, any kind of problem, firstly, you need to implement an algorithm, which is a step by step process to solve a specific problem, and then you need to choose the right data structure to solve the problem. A right combination of data structure and algorithm is really important in solving of the problems. So learn the implement the data structure and algorithm. You can practice in the every day in the Geeks for Geeks is a good for the beginners, and start with practicing the problems on data structure and algorithms. And some useful things or tips you can say that first is, again, don't try to consume all the theories or concept of the data structure and algorithm in one go. I have told you before that 2:1 you have to follow. Second thing, when you move to the complex problem, break the large problem into smaller chunks and then solve these chunks to get the final output or solution. Third thing is practice, practice, and practice enough. Can your hands dirty in programming? And if it's possible to participate in competitive programming on a different websites, you will gain confidence and you will become much better in problem solving. Next is learn how to use this data structure and algorithm in real world project. For example, in web application, you will find a lots of use of arrays and strings. You can learn these things. Next is you know the basic concept. You know the fundamentals of data structure and algorithm. Now build an application based on whatever you have learned. You can also try to use this concept to implement a feature in your previous application or project. That will help you to expand your project and it will give you the exposure to solve the problems. Okay, next point is build projects. Like we have already mentioned that when it comes on building a project on your own, most of the newbie programmers get stuck. You feel like all the tutorials, exercises are just a waste of time because that's not helpful in your project. You retain a lot from tutorials, but it's just going right over the head, and now you are unable to apply all the concepts and logic in your project. Relax. Initially, try to build a small project or a static website first. It can be your own portfolio, a web application, Android application, or any kind of a game. It's better to start with some smaller, simpler projects and then moving to the complex projects. So a lot of beginners don't understand what they should include in their projects. So here is an example. Like I give an example with the e-commerce site. Start with the building small features like make a sign up page, login page, or you move to the next features like navigation bar. So instead of doing everything at once, analyze the whole project and break into the smaller problems or chunks. It depends on your project complexity, which feature you need to build first. Initially, you will making a lot of mistake, you will face a lot of problems, but that's how you will learn to build and handle the complex projects. So some useful tips I follow in my college, like first is learn to use small good tools, editor or debugger to use in your project. Like I have used the code blocks or a VS Code for my project. Second thing, when you get stuck somewhere or find an error, read the error message carefully. Don't avoid the error message. It's really helpful in solving the issues. Google it, or you most of the case you will find answer on Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is a very good community for developers. Third thing is avoid too much perfection in your project. You will end up with a procrastinations and slow progress in your project. Remember that there is no perfect code. So avoid over engineering things and move forward. First make it work, then make it right, and finally make it fast. So next point is explore. Your journey doesn't end when you are finished with your project. Explore more. Explore as much you can in a computer science field. Computer science is a vast and rich field, so analyze what fascinates you the most. You can explore different fields like machine learning, cloud computing, system programming, mobile app development, blockchain, web development, etc. There are lots of projects on GitHub and lots of resources available on the internet. As per your interest, you can find some tutorials or project on the internet. Learn from there and try to make some projects on it. We learned the how to programming the language, but the most important question is that what to choose, which programming language is good. So you might hear people saying that it is a subjective choice, choose with whatever you feel like. Though this advice is not wrong, but it does nothing. It confuses an already confused individual like newbie programmers. So choose a language according to your scenario. What kind of scenario? There are four kind of scenario. First is you already know a language, maybe you learned it in a school or probably learned it out of curiosity, and no, it won't count if you somehow manage to pass the programming course in your school. We are talking about a decent level of knowledge in programming with a sound understanding of all the basic principle and concepts, not a vague idea. If you fall into this category, I suggest you to continue with this language, not switch to the other language. Second scenario is you do not wish to go hardcore into the programming, but would you like to know at least a language that could help you develop some software in future. This might be in the case of you pursuing engineering, some branch other than computer science. You do not intend to foray into the IT field, but knowledge of a language is always beneficial. In such scenario, I suggest you to learn Python. Python is a super easy to learn. It can prove to be great in overcoming the initial phobia of programming. If you have any, the syntax is simple, English like and neat. You will manage to learn it half the time as compared to others, and it will serve all your purposes. Third scenario is the again is the extension of what I have suggested you. Like the only difference is you would like to learn programming language to make a website of your own and probably want to get into the app development. So I suggest you to choose the Java. Java is a language to pick up and go within this case. Reason is simple. The Java is highly object oriented language that is immensely effective in the case of web development or in app development. The last scenario, that is the most important one, is wherein you are really interested in what goes inside of being a good programmer. You wish to well versed with the theoretical knowledge and not only the application base. In such case, I suggest you C or C++. It is harder than other languages that mentioned here, and you spend a significant amount of time learning it. But here is the thing, once you manage to learn it, you will having in-depth knowledge of programming as a skill and why we do the things we do. There are numerous other benefits as well. It's a faster processing time and is the best choice if you wish to get into the competitive coding. After learning how to programming and what to choose language, next step is set up your laptop. If you haven't not bought a laptop yet, buy a decent laptop with 512 GB SSD and at least 8 GB RAM. You need to install necessary software like IntelliSense IDE. IntelliSense IDE is the most leading Java and Kotlin IDE. Next is VS Code. VS Code is used for the various purposes like C, C++, Python, web development. I personally use a VS Code. Next is Google Chrome. Google Chrome is a browser which is mostly used for the website development. Next is you have to create accounts on the platform like Geeks for Geeks, LeetCode, CodeChef, CodeForces, HackerRank. You can make one of them for the practicing the codes. Second is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is basically a social media for professional to connect, learn, and finding the opportunity in various fields. Next is GitHub. GitHub is a platform on which you post your projects. So please make the accounts in that platform which is useful for you all. So here is few points you need to focus on before you begin your journey. First point is those who are already familiar with computers concepts and had a computer as a subject in the 12th should start right away with C++ or Java, and those who were not into computers can start with the C programming language first. Second point, apart from learning a programming language, you should also focus on how to maintain CGPA and what are the placement trends of your college and try to approach seniors for clarity. Next point is start your journey without worrying much and allocate 1 to 2 hours per day for learning programming. Last point is by the time when you enter your second semester, try to figure out how you can manage your routine and schedule yourself for studying, learning new things, hanging out with friends, and learning the programming language. Thank you, guys. If you have a doubt, please comment down. And if you like this video, like, share, and subscribe to my channel.